All right, we are live. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us in episode 8 of Orphan Cracked. We're so excited to have you, and we're so excited about this episode. Before we get started, let me just say I haven't said this in a while, so I want to just keep a refresher. I'm not at all affiliated with Orphan Black, with the show, with BBC America, anything like that, and also lots of spoilers. So if you haven't seen last night's episode, please stop watching now. Okay, let's get right into it. I want to introduce the two guests we have today. First of all, we have Sid from California joining us. Hi, Sid.
Hey.
And second, we have Frank joining us all the way from Australia. Thank you so much for staying up so late to do this with us.
Yeah, no worries. I'm looking forward to it.
Sweet. Yeah. Okay, well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm still kind of like shaking a little bit inside after last night's episode. Like, I know this whole week on like Twitter and Tumblr, everyone's been talking about, how awesome and how groundbreaking and how crazy this episode is going to be, but I don't know that I was prepared for last night. Like, what was, let's start with you, Sid. What was your state of mind for going into this episode last night?
I cried. I cried a lot.
Yeah, so did I. Frank, what about you? Were you ready for last night?
No, like totally not. Yeah, they told us that there was going to be like a big opener.
Yeah.
But when it came, like, I just like, because I was like, is that a trans guy? And then I saw like the long hair. I was like, oh, maybe not. And then like, yeah, when I realized, my heart just like leapt into my throat, and I was watching it with my sister, and she just like turned to me and was like, oh my god. Yeah, it was a great moment.
Yeah, oh my god, it was great. Like, I was talking to Jack about an hour or so before the episode, and we were just kind of talking about predictions and what we wanted to happen. Like, obviously we had no idea, but we were just like, oh, what if this happens, what if this happens? And the one thing that we said was like, we really want to meet a new clone this episode. And so, like, bam, right in the first 5 minutes, there's a new clone. I was so excited. But I have to say, like, when they were, they start with the car chase, and they go to the warehouse. At first, like, when Tony's talking, we obviously don't know it's him, but I heard the voice, and I was like, wait a minute, that sounds, that voice kind of sounds familiar. Like, who is that? And I was like, it can't be Beth. We know it's not Beth. And I was kind of going through, the list of people in my head, and I was like, who is it? And then I saw the long hair, and I was like, And then, bam! I was like, oh my gosh, I was not prepared. I was not prepared for Tatiana with facial hair.
Yeah. Oh, that facial hair was like, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty great. So I guess I want to, how's the best way to do this? I'll ask you a few questions, Sydney, and then I'll go to Frank to try to keep it equal. So,
Alright.
Sid, what did you think, or did you have any kind of ideas of what Tony's like state of mind was, or what he was going to bring, I guess, to Clone Club, or what was going to happen with that whole thing? What were you thinking as you were watching that unfold with Art and then Felix?
What was I thinking when? Okay. Well, Tony, he seems like a troublemaker. He really does. I think he might bring a little bit of trouble to the Clone Club. Just a little bit. He kind of seems like Sarah before she met the Clone Club.
Yeah, he does a lot. That was one thing that kind of was kind of funny to me, is just how much he was like Sarah, which is so great because obviously they've never met or whatever, but I felt like they had a lot of things in common, which I think Felix really picked up on.
Yeah, plus he brings a little bit of, I don't know what to say, I just got a little bit weirded out when I saw Tat kissing Jordan.
Oh my god. Yes, I was like so uncomfortable on one hand. On the other hand, I was like kind of into it. I still don't really know exactly what my feelings were during that whole scene.
Yeah, I don't know if I ship it or not. It's just a little too early for me to know.
Yeah, it's very early. Frank, why don't you chime in here? What were your feelings on some of the early scenes with Felix and Tony?
I think they had like this great chemistry. I wouldn't know. I don't know if I'd call it like a sexual chemistry, but they definitely like they didn't have to say very much to like communicate a lot. As like, and I thought like some of their communication was really good. I wrote down like one of the lines.
Yeah.
When B was like, Tony, what are you doing? What you're doing here is more complicated than sex or gender, and that's like. I think that's pretty on point, like, because he does, like, his gender and sexuality isn't his prime, like, reason for being there. He, like, had a big role to play in the whole episode, really.
Yeah,
and moving the plot.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, but I think that line is really on point, not just for Tony, but kind of for the whole show, because that's been such a running theme. Like it's way more about identity and who the clones are individually, more than any of their like sexualities or any of their like gender norms or whatever. And I think one of the things that this show does so well is that it kind of forces the viewer to kind of rise above those kind of stereotypes and kind of force themselves out of, well, this is what, people should look like, and this is how people should act, and this is what gay people look like, and this is what straight people look like, and now this is how, how trans people act, and that kind of thing. So I was really, really happy to hear that line, because it's kind of an overarching theme for the whole series, at least in my opinion.
All the characters are so nuanced, like, they really have such depth, and no one's really a caricature. It's great to see such complexity on screen.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I have to say, I don't know if either of you guys saw this on Tumblr, but like a couple of people like months ago, maybe even longer than that, were like, well, what if they did a trans clone? And I have to say, at first, I didn't really know how I felt about it. For one, I don't have a lot of experience with trans people, and so from like almost everything I've seen on TV and movies, it's very easy for that to be done wrong and to be done, like even with the best intentions, it's very easy for that to be kind of ham-handed over the top. And so I was like, I don't know if I want a trans clone, because so many issues come into play there. But at least for me, and again, this is completely my personal opinion, I think they handled it really, really well, like with grace and with poise, and and obviously what are you going to expect from Tatiana Maslany, an incredible actor. But I think even with the writing, they just did a really, really good job. Sid, what do you think about that?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, I had to move out of the dining room.
Oh, sure. That's okay. I was just saying, how did you feel about like the handling of the trans clone within the show and within the confines of Tatiana's acting?
I think that they handled it really well. I mean, there was a lot of talk on Tumblr from a lot of people that I knew about how they, like a couple people were a little offended that they allowed Art to say that he was a she at least even once. But I'm actually kind of glad that they showed that, and how Felix told Art and corrected the pronouns, and then sort of Art just went with it. He was okay with it. He didn't argue. He was pretty good at that. And also, just the way that Tatiana portrayed Tony, it was actually pretty good, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. Frank, what is your opinion? What did you think about that?
I think they did like a wonderful job of that. And that line between Art and Felix was brilliant, because I think some people who, like especially cis people who don't really know much about gender and stuff like that, it's something that happens a lot is like mixing up pronouns, and like it's not like they just threw it in there because I don't know, they wanted to be contrary or something. It's like it's very on point, I think, and it was great how they dealt with it, and then Art just went back like to using the correct pronouns.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that Tat's portrayal of Tony was really good. And yeah, he had depth, and yeah, I think they did like a wonderful job of it.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, I mean, I've seen a little bit of what you were saying, Sid, on Tumblr about people kind of being offended that Art was even allowed to say she once, but I think it was a really, really good learning experience for people, like you said, that maybe don't have a lot of knowledge or experience with trans people to know that, hey, okay, maybe this is where what I would say, but it's not right, so I should do this. And to see Art just learn and take that step and not fight it, and not be like, he just corrected himself and then never made the mistake again throughout the rest of the episode. And I think that's a very important message, and I think that could definitely really, really help people kind of learn in the future. This is how you handle it, and if you don't know, that's okay,
Yeah.
But you learn and you don't do it again. So I really liked the handling of this. And I, kind of going in that same vein, I saw on Tumblr one of the interviews with John and Graham, and they said that when they were still planning to do this whole thing, they did so much research. And Tatiana went and met with so many people from like the trans community to try to get a feel for the character and to learn about what that lifestyle is like, and to try to bring some authenticity to the role, which really, really made me feel good about that, and really kind of made me just even more impressed with her commitment, like, to the role and to the show and to this story. I thought that was great.
I didn't know. I haven't seen that interview, but I definitely want to check that out, because like I think the problem sometimes with the portrayal of trans people in shows and movies is that they're often done without that kind of research, and like it's great that she went to the people that sort of know and have lived it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if more shows like did that, not just with the handling of the trans community, but with so many other issues, I feel like society as a whole would be in such a better place, because so much of how our society is based on our entertainment and our media. And
totally.
Like with the handling of even just your run-of-the-mill gay person on a TV show, if people just like did research for those roles, I feel like we would have so much more maybe acceptance and understanding instead of just so many caricatures and stereotypes, So I really, really appreciate how the writers and the creators and Tatiana just went about really authenticating this role and really doing it the right way.
Yeah. After I finished that episode, I felt like the hours afterwards, I was just on this high, because I was just so excited that someone had done it well,
Yeah.
And yeah, kudos to them.
Yeah, because representation is just so important. I mean, for me, like as a Black woman, it's so impressive and important to me when I see a Black woman role on a TV show, on a movie done well and done honestly and done from the perspective of someone who's done the research and who knows what they're doing. It's such a huge deal for me, and it's so important. So I can only imagine what it's like for maybe a trans kid that's watching the show, or a kid that maybe still trying to figure out their sexuality and watching this show, or shows like this, and so seeing someone on screen that's like them, or that's where they want to be, I can only imagine the impact that must have and how important that must be to them.
Yeah, I think one other thing, Tony is so, like, I felt like he was so comfortable with himself, And that's often not how trans people are portrayed because
Yeah.
for like very like good reasons. But I loved how comfortable he seemed in his body and how comfortable he was with his sexuality as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, that spoke to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, one thing about the show that I'm really noticing with any of the people that aren't like, you know, completely straight or whatever is there's never really any floundering or there's no one's like hiding or in the closet. I really like the treatment of sexuality in this show. Like you never see anyone that's like not straight or whatever trying to like they don't hide who they are. They always are sure or confident, which I think is so powerful for people to see. Like so many times the handling of queer characters in TV shows, either something terrible happens to them or they go through this like rejection phase where they don't want to be who they are or whatever. And while I understand that a lot of that happens in real life, I think it's so important to see these out, confident, um, learning people, to show that, hey, it's okay to be who you are, and it's okay to not apologize for that. Like, I feel like so many roles on TV do. They kind of are like, oh, I'm been pulled kicking and screaming into this gay thing. I don't really want to do it, but, I've tried to fight it and it's not worth it. These characters, Felix, Cosima, Tony, they're out there, they're confident, they're sure, and they're proud, and I think that's so important.
Yeah, I feel like in other TV shows they often they portray the whole coming out and realizing your sexuality. They never really show it in like I guess an ordinary setting. Like you said, it's always something traumatic has happened to them or anything like that. But some people like they show that you don't. In Orphan Black, they show that you don't have to go through a traumatic experience in order to realize or that you're gay. And some TV shows even tell people that you become gay, and instead of just discovering who you are.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I feel like.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, Orphan Black is really good at with the whole outside of the whole this is how you're supposed to portray it box.
Yeah.
They definitely don't do boxes. They like everyone's just got their own sort of self-identity, which I think is like wonderful.
Yeah, and I like that so much. Not even just with like sexuality or anything, but just with every character on here. Like I feel like I say this every week, but there's never like anyone completely good, and there's never anyone like completely bad. Every character on this show has mixed motivations. Everyone on this show has a little bit of good and a little bit of bad. Everyone on this show has some layering and something that makes them complex, which is just how people are like in just regular life, And I think that's so important to see, especially for younger people, so that they know, oh, I don't have to try to be, this, completely, good guy all the time. It's perfectly okay and perfectly normal to have these other motivations, It's so realistic in how things really work in life, and I think that's just one of the many important things that this show does.
Yeah, and I thought this episode in particular really sort of pushed that more with the antagonists. Like, for instance, Delphine, there was that discussion with Cosima. Rachel, we're sympathizing more and more with her in some ways. Donnie, all of those sorts of sort of Paul, the sort of grey characters are really becoming even more grey.
Yeah, I feel like they made them human instead of queer, trans, cis, straight. They made everybody human. It doesn't matter who you are or where on the good bad spectrum you are. You're human. You're not the antagonist. You're not the protagonist. You're not the supporting cast. I mean, as you can tell, they made the everybody in it really just kind of, they made a whole bunch of stories come together into where everybody is really the main character. There are really no side characters.
Yeah, totally.
Rooney, again?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Oh, this is so terrible. I feel really bad about bad internet connection. I'm not sure if it's
Yeah, I'm not really good at that sort of stuff. But yeah, I thought it was interesting how much time they gave the side characters in this episode. I thought it was like Sarah barely got anything really. Which is cool.
In other TV shows, the main character is usually the spotlight of every single episode, and no matter what, like, the main character was always the most focused on. But everybody else in the show, in regular shows, they usually get a little bit of time, but they don't really get all that much story behind them. I mean, they try to give them story, but they don't really put all that much effort into it.
Yeah.
In Orphan Black, it's a completely different story.
Yeah. And I think that sort of, I'm worried about Cosima. Like, I feel like her character hasn't been fleshed out as much as maybe the other clones. But yeah, she definitely got fleshed out a bit more in this episode. I feel like, yeah, I worry for her. I guess we all do.
I'm worried about Cosima too, but I really don't feel that they can sort of kill her off. Yeah, I noticed Rooney's gone too.
Yeah.
I really don't feel as though they can kill her off though, you know, because there's just so much that they're building on the Kofi relationship, and I don't think that they can tear it down so easily or so quickly, and a lot of people are counting on them as regular queer representation.
Yeah, I mean, but like, really, if they killed Cosima off, that would be a bit of a trope, having the queer person, you know, die tragically. It's something that happens repeatedly. So
I feel like they're gonna yank us on chain for a long time, and then just like,
hopefully
they get set of the chain. I mean, people come back each week like, is Cosima gonna be okay? Is Cosima gonna be okay?
Yeah. I think it's all gonna come to a head in the next 2 episodes. Maybe unfortunately or fortunately, depending on what happens. Should I try add Rooney back in, or?
Yeah, let's try that.
I don't know if I can.
I don't. There we go.
Oh my god. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. My internet just like blacked out or something.
Oh no.
Did you guys keep talking?
Yeah.
We sat in silence.
No, it was total complete silence. Just staring at computer screens like.
Now we had some cries about Cosima and her possible demise.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry to jump the gun on that.
No, it's okay. It's totally fine. I disappeared. I'm happy you guys kept talking. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, so Cosima and Delphine. Yes. Sorry, I'm still frustrated.
Yeah.
Let these guys just keep talking, and I will jump in.
I had one thing that I wanted to say. I was recently like rewatching some of the first season, and it started to really irk me how well Delphine can lie. Like it was just too good, and the fact that she keeps on lying and going behind Casima's back, and I know that's maybe a bit contentious because like you can tell that there's like some genuine feeling there, but they never really resolved any of the stuff that sort of happened, and like surely you'd have some. Obviously, Cosima has trust issues now, and I think for good reason. And I feel like it's going to happen again, and it's just like it's going to go down. Like, and I don't necessarily think like I personally don't think that's a bad thing, because after rewatching it, I just don't trust Delphine, and I don't think that you like can do that to someone without consequence, really.
Yeah, no, for sure, and I completely agree. Like, as much as I love that relationship and I want it to work, it's just so problematic in that Delphine is, like we were saying before, not a completely good person and not a completely bad person. Like, she obviously has these incredibly mixed motivations, which I think for me is understandable. Like, obviously she wants to have a career, and she wants to do what's best for her career, and she's kind of on the cutting edge of science right now with monitoring this plant project.
Sorry, dog.
It's okay. My dog is barking outside. I'm sure that will come through on the video. But anyway, so she has this career that obviously she wants to do the best for, and to have a successful one. And I don't think she at all planned on falling in love with Cosima or anyone else. And so to watch this struggle with her, it's like part of her wants the career, but part of her wants, what's best for Cosima. It's very interesting, and it's a fascinating dichotomy. It's good for us to watch, but on the other hand, Cosima kind of gets the rough end of the stick, because while we like watching this conflict going on with Delphine, it's got to be hard for her because this is someone that she loves and cares about but can't trust. And so what kind of relationship can you really have if you don't trust the other person?
Yeah, for sure. I think that I would have lost trust well before Cosima. Has.
Yeah, and although I have to say, after they had that really fun, pot-smoking, helium-sucking party, that was really fun to watch. But I'm really glad that Cosima is not an idiot. Like, she's very naive about a lot of things, but she's not an idiot, and like she knows that Delphine has not been 100% honest, and she knows that Delphine has done a lot of things behind her back. And so she was just letting her know that even after, Delphine said, "I love you," which I was a mess for, she was like, "That's great, but, stop, going behind my back and doing these things, and you've got to accept all of this and all this other stuff. And if you keep lying to me and being dishonest, I have enough dirt to ruin your career." I was like, that's awesome. Like, I thought that was a really huge step for Cosima to be like.
I got really excited that they didn't just make her, that they didn't make Cosima lie to herself and be like, "No, Delphine's on my side. No, Delphine's on my side. I totally agree. I love her. Like, there's no way she can betray me."
Yeah. I thought that was great.
Right, because Delphine even said that the reason that she did betray Cosima is because she did love her. So I would be more worried if Cosima was, like, in that whole denial stage, like she was in the first season for, like, one episode.
Yes. Yeah. But, and can we just say that whole "I'm monitoring Delphine" was like doomed from the start?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
She did not even try at all.
Delphine is good at lying, but she sucks at keeping secrets.
Yeah.
But yeah, just going back to what you said, I thought for Cosima to understand that Delphine is not quite the person that she's trying to show Cosima that she is really great self-awareness on Cosima's part. And one thing that I really, really like about Cosima, even though she's not perfect, she's flawed, she has been guilty of manipulating people sometimes and using people, but at heart, I don't think Cosima is selfish. And so that's why she keeps fighting against using Kira to even to help her. Like, she's never even met this child, and she's only known Sarah for like a season, and yet you keep seeing her come back to, don't use her, I don't care what you're trying to do, it's my decision, you need to, come through me, all this kind of stuff. And so I feel like if anything, if it came down to her life and maybe Kira's or someone else's, she would unquestionably give up hers for the other person, which I think, and it's one reason that I really like Cosima, is that she just is so completely unselfish in a lot of ways, and I really appreciate that about her. But not to talk too badly about Delphine, I do think she, at the end of the day, really does want the best for Cosima, and so she really is kind of willing to do whatever it takes, and whatever it takes, she thinks, can mean not being honest with Cosima, not doing completely what she says, because she says, well, Cosima doesn't want me to do this, but it could help her, And so I just think that whole relationship is just so interesting and just so fascinating. And I'm just interested to see what's going to happen going forward. I have to say, like, that fall on the floor was, like, heartbreaking. I knew it was coming, like, we'd seen it in the sneak peeks or whatever, but, oh my gosh, that was rough.
Yeah, it was intense.
Yeah.
What you were saying before about Cosima being really quite selfless and generous when it comes to like Kira and the other clones. I've really enjoyed in this season how they've bonded, that they've really sort of come together, and that's been like a really nice sort of slow transition, I think.
Yeah. Because at the beginning of season 1, obviously they're very fractured and they're very apart, and it's kind of interesting how that's happened, because for the most part they've all been away from each other this season, and yet at the same time you see this drawing together of this relationship strengthening, even though they're not together anymore, which I think has just been really great for them. And I think the only way they're really going to have any success in the future with finding a cure or fighting diet or whatever is going to be if they come together and if they work together.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I kind of like that our grey characters like S and potentially Paul are also, half, with one foot on their side as well. So I like that they are helping the cause in their own ways, suspect ways.
Yes, I have to say, everyone that's in this show, the person I am the most unsure about and know the least about is Siobhan. Like, I have no idea what she wants, what she knows, who she knows. It's like, does she have the answers? Like, I'm so, like, intrigued by her character, and I'm so just curious about, like, what part she's going to have to play in this, like, ongoing saga.
She seems to be really protective of Sarah and the clones, but yet at the same time, you don't really know. I mean, you know that she's against Dyad. Everybody knows that, but nobody really knows if she's really on the clone side. But yet again, she says she protects Sarah from Paul in, I think it was last episode. Sorry.
Yeah. Last.
So even though she's on, like, even though you don't really know where she stands, you know that she really does love and want to protect Sarah.
Yeah. I definitely, that's the one thing I do know. She does love Sarah. She does love Kira. It's just everything else that there are so many questions about.
It's that like thing with Delphine where it's like just be honest and tell the truth about what's going on, and like so much of this would be so much easier if they're just like,
Yes.
I'm like yelling at the stream going, tell them. Like,
Exactly. At least one time every episode,
Yeah.
I'm just like, would things not be easier if they just
Yeah.
sat down and told each other what
Yeah.
they knew?
Yeah.
You know?
And
It's just
like with Cal, it's like, tell him you're a clone. Just do it like a band-aid.
Yes,
But,
exactly. Ah,
Yeah.
it
I
can
really
be a little
find it
frustrating.
very comforting that they make sure that the people that they tell about Clone Club, that they're sort of more or less trustworthy
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I do understand that. Like, obviously, that's not something you can just tell everyone passing by on the street, oh, hey, I'm a clone, you know, and there's this huge conspiracy. You have to definitely pick and choose who you give that sensitive information to. So I don't mind that, but I feel like Siobhan at this point, she knows about the clones, you know, for the most part they know about her. I feel like she could just be like, hey, this is what I know. Maybe I was the scientist in that picture. Maybe I wasn't. Maybe I do know about Project Leda. Maybe I, you know, like, out with it, you know, out with it already.
Yeah. I guess storytelling-wise, it's good to get it in little dribbles from her, but like at the same time, you're like, just tell us. Like, there's so much going on there. That,
One of the things I'm really confused about is in the first season when Sarah brings Allison over to S's house and tells her that she's a clone. I'm wondering if that was a really good acting. Like S is just, oh crap! Now they're telling me. Should I act surprised?
Mm-hmm.
I can't really tell.
Yeah, I have to say I don't really know. Like, I could see it going both ways, because before the whole birdwatcher thing at the birdwatcher hideaway or whatever, I would have said, oh, hey, she didn't know about the clones, because she talked about Carlton and all he said was, you know, take these orphans, put them in the black or whatever, that kind of thing. And so it seemed at the time that it was news to her. But then after the whole birdwatcher thing, and she, you know, she shows the woman the picture and was like, what do you know about Project Leda? And then, you know, she shoots her and puts the things through her hands, which, by the way, I'm still not quite over.
yeah.
And after that, you know, wait a minute, she knows something, if not everything, about Project Leda. And so from there, I was definitely like, whoa, so did she already know about the clones or not? And I don't know. I could see it going either way. It could be she knew some partial things about Project Leda, like maybe she kind of knew what they were originally going to do, because before, you know, I think it was last episode, it showed them like doing these experiments with children or whatever before they actually were successfully cloning. So maybe she knew about that part, but didn't know that their end game was cloning and that they had been successful at it. So maybe she knew like bits and pieces or something.
Well, she definitely had to know about Rachel because of Ethan Duncan. I mean, she could not have spent that much time with him and not heard about Rachel. Maybe she thought that Rachel was a twin of Sarah, or if she didn't actually see a picture of Rachel, maybe she just didn't know. But then again, Ethan's pretty much he's not in there. He's he's lost it. He's lost his marbles. I was gonna be a little sensitive about that, but he lost his marbles.
I think he's smarter than he's letting on. I reckon maybe it's like some sort of idiot savant thing, but there's like, I think there's a lot going on there. That maybe he's covering up. And I'm also of the opinion that S didn't know about the clones. I feel like that was genuine. That's what my gut tells me, but you know, you never know with this show, so.
You may have just brushed it off as like, oh, he's crazy. I mean, we already know he lost his marbles. Maybe he's just imagining that he cloned people. But then seeing Allison, oh crap, Ethan was right.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing about the show. We have no idea. We have no idea at all. I lean, I think, sometimes more towards Siobhan not knowing simply because we don't know that she ever saw Rachel, before.
Yeah.
So it's quite possible that even though Ethan, mentioned her, I'm guessing we don't know that he mentioned what she looked like. And so there's still a chance that, she didn't. I have so many questions. It's just,
Yeah,
we
it
don't
could
know
be a similar
anything.
story with Black Ops Paul. I mean, she does seem like Black Ops, but like not exactly in the military way. But it could be like the same kind of idea. Black Ops Paul not knowing about the clones, and
Exactly.
Mrs. S not knowing about the clones.
Well, it seems that almost all of the monitors didn't know about the clones. Like, Paul didn't know, Donnie didn't know. I'm trying to think. We don't know too many other monitors. Delphine knew.
Delphine definitely knew.
She definitely knew.
She kind of had to. She's doing the science.
Yeah, but I feel like what they probably told the monitors just what they needed to know, and they didn't necessarily need to know that they were monitoring clones. They probably just said, "Hey, we're doing this
Donnie didn't
experiment."
even know he was spying for Dyad.
Exactly. They probably told people just what they thought they needed to know to be successful at the experiment. So it's quite possible that none of the monitors knew that they were monitoring clones.
Tony's monitor, I think, knew. Sammy, the guy that died, I think Beth told him, or like he knew before, and he hadn't told Paul, but he's also Black Ops with Paul or something. Like, there's something definitely going on there.
And then the mysteriousness of Paul not being there too, like not in the episode at all. And that was a little weird. Just a little.
Oh yeah, he's up to something. I actually love that collaboration with that he had with S. I think something's being cooked up anyway. If it's to do with Sammy, that other monitor, or I think he'll be back.
Yeah, he will.
Something exciting.
He's a little too important to the storyline to just like, nope, he's not coming back.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm excited. I reckon Paul's going to be back. Oh, and we get to see Helena next episode too, which I'm really excited about.
What do you mean she's pregnant? She's not pregnant.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, they're like, in the preview, I think like they showed the Proletheans putting the eggs back in her uterus.
Yeah.
And that was
yeah.
And the weird thing is that it was willingly. I mean, I would have thought Helena would be kicking and screaming about that.
I think she wants babies. Like, I think that was. Yeah.
It feels as though she's kind of given up on that portion of the kicking and screaming. She's kind of accepting her fate, though that's going to be really sad if it's true.
I don't think that she's sort of given up per se, but I think she's probably trying to use the Proletheans to get what she wants, and trying to maybe gain some control in that area. But I don't think she's going to get pregnant, and I don't think that's going to stay. Like, personally, I don't think that's going to stay very calm for very long. But we'll see. Hopefully not.
Yeah. I think Rooney froze again.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. But, yeah. Helena... Oh my god, and what about the chickens? I mean,
yeah.
In the farm. I mean, I think that the whole chicken thing that they've done is like kind of how what was first, the chicken or the egg?
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's. I think it's definitely a reference to the chicken or the egg thing, and like, what are the clones? Are they the egg or the chicken? or yeah. But it's pretty interesting.
Sarah's definitely either a chicken or an egg that can produce
More
offspring
eggs.
from
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. She's pretty amazing, whatever she is.
Yeah.
And Rachel, how powerful was that scene where she learning about how she was barren? Like, I just think that's such a misogynistic way to put it as well. And she just like was trying to remain like equanimous and like calm. Yeah, it was really full on. And then that rage inside her, but she just like keeps it all like under wraps. It was very powerful, and I think very, horrible.
Yeah, the whole Baron by design, I think that had more to do with the military portion of it, because they
Yeah,
kind of they obviously genetically altered them. I mean, and there's sort of like this super healing type thing that Helena,
yeah,
Sarah, and Kira all have. And I think that they were trying to do something with that, and I think they tried to do a little bit of like everything with the other clones as well, and they didn't want them to reproduce and pass it on.
yeah, yeah.
Imagine
It was all about control.
having offspring, and then
Yeah,
that'd be a little scary. I think
yeah.
they wanted to keep control over the whole thing,
And that's very thematically Orphan Black is control and the clones trying to gain back some control, and then the Proletheans or the Neo-Illusionists taking that back again from them, and it's like this constant like to and fro, and that goes sort of like in different levels, and I think that scene was all about control, where she sort of, in her own way, regained control, but like she'd lost it at the same time. She'd lost control of her body.
I have
Are you back, Rooney?
I think I'm back. Can you guys see me, hear me?
Yeah. We were just talking about Rachel.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I think
Sorry.
that Rachel, she kind of has to keep a control on all of her feelings, or else her entire facade would crack, and then she would completely lose it. I mean, all those years of bottling it up inside of her, like all of her emotion, all of her sadness, just like is corked. Plus, you add that rage, and she just kept it down. I feel like if she even lost control for a second, it would all just fall apart.
Yeah. I have to say though that is a storyline I am so here for. Like, I am so fascinated and interested to see like what is going to happen with her. Like, is she going to have this what seems to be impending mental breakdown, or is she going to somehow pull it together? And if so, why? And if so, how is she going to do that? Because I can't imagine like what it must be like for her after all these years. She thought her parents were dead, and here's her dad, walking back in, and
it definitely sucks for her.
Yeah.
I feel as though a breakdown is kind of unavoidable. I mean, all those years bottling up all your feelings inside of you, some point you're going to have to break.
Yeah, and not only that, but she's the only clone that's been self-aware this whole time. So she knows that she's an experiment, and she's still human, obviously, but there are these genetic copies of her all around the world. Of how many, I don't know. Does she know how many? And so I'm thinking she's got to be having these issues of identity and rage and confusion and just so many. I can just feel like this cloud of chaos kind of going on in her mind, and I don't know how she's gonna handle it, but I'm so excited to see like what she's gonna do.
Yeah. It'd be pretty powerful to see someone like that who is so good at remaining in control of situations and sort of thrives off that, to break, as horrible as that sounds, to sort of break down a little bit and peel back the layers, I guess, which we're sort of seeing, which is really wonderful.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that if she does break, that she when when she does kind of recover, she will be a lot nicer. It's just kind of a theory I had. I mean, basically all that bottle of pain made her cold and detached, and it made her very mean. But I think that if she were to break down and to let all that anger, sadness, and everything out, that when she finally did recover, she would probably be a lot nicer and more sympathetic towards the other clones.
Or I mean, I hear what you're saying, and that is a good theory. But on the other hand, I read this really fascinating kind of analysis on Tumblr. I can't remember who it was from, but it was about how Rachel is showing these signs of extreme narcissism, and so I feel like if she has some kind of mental thing going on as well as these emotions that she's keeping down. Yes, if that all, if all the emotions come out and she kind of has this breakdown, she could be more sympathetic, or she could just be more angry. Or she could just feel more detached afterwards. Because, like, even through that whole, like, incredibly uncomfortable sex scene with Paul, she didn't care about Paul at all. She was into herself, And so for someone that has narcissism that intense, I don't know that a breakdown will necessarily force her into, being sympathetic or nice, although it's possible. It's definitely possible. I'm not discounting you at all. I'm just saying it may not go that way. We don't know.
No, I know. Like,
so interesting.
I completely and totally understand that that point of view, and it's actually really interesting because I feel as though she would be a little bit detached at the beginning, but like sooner or later, like down the line, after she's gotten over all this, she may either become pro-clone again, but have a little bit less respect from the dyad, or she's going to be more sympathetic towards the clones. And if she doesn't have respect from the dyad, she might start helping the clones, but I don't think that will ever happen, that she starts helping, like, directly.
Yeah. We just don't know.
Either she's going to be completely and totally detached and demand respect after her breakdown, or she's going to have no respect, and it's just I know that it's going to be completely heartbreaking. That's all I know.
Yep. Well, listen, we've got about 5 minutes left. Did you guys talk about Allison and Donnie at all?
No. Oh my god, no.
Okay, let's
wow.
the last couple of minutes. What do you guys think is going to happen with Leaky's body? Obviously, it's going to be going to a freezer.
Shuffle.
But what do you think they're going to do?
Either gonna dump him in the lake with the weapon, or like maybe mulch him. I don't know. I feel like
it's gonna be hilarious.
It's gonna be funny. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have to say, I'm really comforted by the fact that Donnie didn't know about the clones. And that he does seem to, Allison and Donnie seem to really love each other, which makes me feel a lot better, because this whole time I was thinking that Donnie just married Allison because of the whole monitoring thing.
Yeah.
And so that would make me think that Allison has never really been loved outside of her parents and I guess friends, I don't know. But to see that she actually did love Donnie and he actually loved her, like that was real, I really like that. And so that's why I really liked that scene. On the couch when he was like sneaking out or whatever, and they had that angry heart-to-heart thing. That was really good.
Yeah. It was so nice to see them open up to each other about their accidental murders. It was as funny as it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was great. It was a really great moment. But can I just say though, like, these poor kids, like Oscar and Gemma, they're always getting like ushered out of the room, and like their mom disappears or their parents are fighting. It's like I just feel so bad for them. Like I hope they don't grow up like scarred and stuff from all this.
I have a feeling like Mommy and Daddy are messed up.
There's nothing like living a repressed, like suburban, cliche childhood.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, I think we should wrap up while I am still with you guys. I just want to say thank you so much for being here, and I'm so sorry for whatever was going on with my internet today. This has never happened, so I'm going to try to figure out this week what it was so it doesn't happen again. But anyway, thanks for picking up the reins and keeping the conversation going while I wasn't here.
It was fun.
When I go back and edit videos, I will make sure to put your name and Tumblr, first names only, so people can find you and talk to you if you're open to that. But again, thank you so much for being here, and especially thanks to you, Frank, for staying up so late.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it was great fun chatting about it. So.
Yeah, and Sid, thank you so much for getting up so early on a Sunday. So grateful to both of you.
No problem. I'm just really honored to be here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyone that watched, thank you so much. We'll be back same time next week, Sunday, talking about episode 9, and I hope to see you there. All right.